I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
And it aren't. Now, occasionally you get one that's just like everybody sort of dovetails, but
I mean, some of the things, I feel like we've gotten to the point where we blame COVID a little too much on stuff. Is like, are we not over this yet? But I do think it retrained our brains. I did not believe, I've never thought that I had a wholesale change in the way that I operated my business in COVID. I think I was blessed that I was largely unscathed. But a lot of people, their habits changed so much that now they're just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll do Zoom.
Well, I told my kids that we do things like homecoming, like that kind of stuff. You don't have to take a date. You got to go.
Right.
Well, Dad, nobody goes to those things. No, they do. And, if nobody goes, it's because other people don't go. And so we get this non-attendance, like, affirmation cycle. I'm like, so you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
did you go to your prom?
Yeah, junior and senior year. I went to all my homecomings. Like,
do you remember when did you meet Justine?
College. But
do you remember who you dated in your junior and senior prom? Who you went with?
Yeah, I went with Courtney Wood and Linda Motter.
Old Linda.
Yeah, she lives in Pennsylvania now.
Jennifer Cofer and Shannon Dunaway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool.
Shannon had already graduated.
Big timer.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is, believe it or not, All the Best Words. I know we took a hiatus. We did.
We took
like a week hiatus, and we apologize for that. When we were back, better than ever, stronger than ever. You guys know how it works. My name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith. I write all the best words.
And we get going. So you want me to go first?
Sure. Go for it.
It goes right to the heart of what we were talking about. My word is normalcy. Normalcy.
Say that one more time.
Normalcy. Normalcy. So normalcy means normality. It is not a preferred word in that it really didn't exist in the English language until Warren G. Harding, a former president of the United States, made it a thing.
Okay.
And he used it in his political campaign, said that we needed to return to normalcy. And a lot of people at the time went, is that a word? I don't think that's a word. But it's a word. And it became a part of the vernacular then, and it remains a part of the vernacular today. And I'm not one, Cameron, to give Democrats advice because I appreciate the fact that they're putting ropes on trees every day of the week, twice on Sundays, and hanging themselves on these issues. But I just implore them, I understand how Donald Trump has freaked you out.
Sure.
I understand that you never saw him coming in 2016, or you certainly never saw him winning. You thought he was going to be a sideshow, a circus clown. He's never going to win a debate. He's never going to win a primary. He's certainly not going to win the presidency. And then he did. And it freaked you out over the course of 4 years. And then everything that happened in 2020 happened in 2020. And now, looky here, he's president again. And yet they're still desperately clinging to this idea that the United States of America thinks of him as a freak show. And the United States of America knows that he's different. We know that he's weird at times.
Yeah.
We know that he does not conduct himself in a way that any former president ever has.
Or any human that I know of.
Right?
Right.
But I feel like America has gotten accustomed to it, and we kind of know what we're dealing with. But the Democrats don't. Maybe that's for the betterment of the United States of America that they continue to freak out. And we can cite example after example after example of this. And, I think if Scott Jennings were sitting here, he would say it's an 80-20 thing that I'm talking about, right? You don't have to be against him on every single thing. And so this past week, Donald Trump steps up and says, you know what? I don't like that my boy Big Balls got attacked trying to do a good thing in D.C., and that's called this to my attention, and I don't like the way D.C. looks, and I think it looks trashy. And it's America's front porch, and we got leadership coming here, and and I'm certain that someone said, Mr. President, you have the authority to take this thing over and do something about it. Oh, really? Let's go. And he does it.
Right.
Section 740 of the Home Rule Act and yada, yada, yada. And Democrats, Cameron, just act. I mean, they stepped out in a way where they sounded pro-crime.
Hashtag democracy dies in darkness.
Right? And I'm like, y'all don't have to engage in every battle. You don't have to be in every fight. But they seem to think that they do. So in normalcy, let the man clean up the city. But I do believe that a couple of things that I'll say, and I'll let you tell me what you think about it. The idea of cleaning up Washington, D.C. is clearly his prerogative. He clearly has the ability to do this, at least for 30 days.
Right.
And he can get congressional approval after that. I do believe that the Democrats' true freakout is born of a fear that he will succeed. And if he succeeds in going a long way to solve the crime problem and the homelessness problem that exists in Washington, D.C., in every other major American city where they have told us for decades there's nothing that they can do about it,
Right.
that will start looking like a lie.
Yeah, well, this is, as somebody who lived in the District of Columbia, my oldest son was born in the District of Columbia. When I worked for Jeff Sessions and other members of the House, this is a reality. D.C. has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country and has for a very long time. Right now, today, the violent crime rate in Washington, D.C. is higher than Compton, California. So that ain't a good look. And it's perennially in the top of, your top 10, right? And then Democrats are like, well, it's not even in the top 10. You mean it's 11? I mean, it's that kind of stuff, right?
It's getting better. And you're like, getting better from what?
The rate has declined
Right.
2 years in a row. It's still more dangerous than Compton.
Right.
Like, come on, folks.
Right.
And I think my word is related to this and its distribution.
Mm-hmm.
I just did some back of the napkin math. Okay. There are 4,000 personnel roughly in the Metropolitan Police Department in the District of Columbia. That's 600 administrative and support personnel and 3,400 sworn officers. You can go check it out on their website. D.C. is 68.3 square miles. And the Potomac runs along the edge. Like you've got a lot that's covered with water, a lot that you don't actually have to patrol.
Right. It used to be 10 by 10, and then Virginia took a bunch of it.
So
yada, yada.
it's slightly bigger. But then I just kind of divided the 3,400 or the 68.3 square miles by 3,400, and I realized that, and I understand that it's not exact, but the patrol beat at that rate is about the size of a very small Amazon distribution warehouse. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Before Trump ever does anything, it's like, guys, with that many police officers in that small of a place, how are you constantly having such violent crime problems? And that's the question that needs to be answered. That's the Congress should conduct hearings and say, what's going on? The truth is they don't care. You know why they don't care? Because Capitol Hill police protect the members.
them.
So they're protected by overlapping police forces.
And they don't live there.
Right. And so they're there for the week. They're on Capitol Hill, and they're pretty safe. When I was a staffer, I lived on Capitol Hill. I felt pretty safe. Now, there are areas that I can walk to that I would not want to be in at night.
I was talking to, if you go back to the history of D.C., I understand that it's a city now, and we don't go back, but it was never designed to be a quote-unquote city. It was a place where the federal government operated, right? But there are places, you're right. You walk around the National Mall, you go to the Lincoln Memorial, you feel fine. You might see an occasional homeless person. Go to DuPont Circle and tell me that you feel okay watching people shoot up in the middle of the day in the middle of DuPont Circle. Or whatever.
Anacostia, there are different areas where you can be upset about it, but until they dropped a stadium over there, you did not go past the interstate.
Right.
Everybody knows the rules, right? If you live
the
there.
no-go zones, right?
Right.
Yeah, so Trump comes in and says, we're going to put a stop to this. And say what you will. Disagree with him, agree with him. He's a person of action. And I believe that the Democrats fear that his actions are going to be successful. And I think many of them know that he can be successful in this. And it's not that he has the right or the authority, nor should he, to take over any other American city. And I've been steadfastly against that. Obviously, we're not asking.
It's a special case.
It is a special case, but it will highlight for the citizens of San Francisco and Sacramento or Nashville or wherever, hey, we've been told that this is just the byproduct of living in a big city. We accept that. Well, we don't really have to accept that. We can expect more from our city leadership. And I think that's the big fear on the
Well, and to your point, in your word of normalcy, the Democrats' response to this was DC statehood now. What?
What
Are you talking about, man?
Which, I mean, we could do an entire show on that, but I mean, there's so many things wrong with that. But
my point is, we're talking about just violent crime, right? And it is a fact that violent crime in DC is quite high. Mm-hmm. Like, regardless of the rate trajectory of the last 2 years or prior to that, it's quite high. Come on. I mean, and then your response to Trump saying, I want to clean up the crime is DC statehood. I mean, there's
you're not.
Yeah,
we're not talking about the issue at hand anymore.
Right.
You're deflecting intentionally because you don't want to deal with the real issues that are in front of us. But yeah, I mean, and you saw it because you lived there. I had an annual junket that I took there for 12 years. And my example that I gave on my radio show was Union Station was always a place where the homeless gathered.
Yep.
And when we first started going there, Erica would go with me. And she would go from the hotel when I had to do things and go to meetings or whatever. And she would say, I'm going over to Union Station. There's shops over there. You know, you can go, there's a little Walgreens down there. The last 5 years that we went, she's like, no, I'm not going over there. It got so bad. And then eventually the homeless encampments literally took over Union Station. It's one small microcosm of a greater issue that the man wants to address. And then you go look at the 5-year averages of national capitals around the globe, and it will blow your mind, the countries that have better crime rates, significantly better crime rates in their national capitals than we do in the United States of America, the greatest country on God's green earth.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is sort of the last thing I'll say on this topic. DC also brings mentally ill people to DC. And what I mean by that is if you have a conspiracy about the government or all that, I mean, I encountered that as a Hill staffer. People would wander into my office who had crazy theories and stuff like that. And they would like hand me like a USB key with like 40,000 pages of nothing. Like it would just be crazy stuff. And that's just a reality we need to start addressing because that contributes to violent crime. There's a number of different factors that contribute to this that we just haven't addressed, and we should.
Well, and I understand that homelessness is an issue in all of this, but I felt like the announcement by Caroline Leavitt this week on how they were going to address that we're going to get you into a facility to get you help. We're going to offer you an alternative to where you are. Mm-hmm. Those are two options for you. Facility for help, alternative to here, or if you refuse those two things, we're going to arrest you. It's not an option to stay in some of these places where you've decided to stay because those ought to be for all of the people, not for some in homeless encampment. So, well, there you go. That's how we get it done. He's Cameron Smith.
He's Matt Murphy.
And this has been All the Best Words.